Hi everyone, hi play therapists around the world. So in this video we'll be talking about the talking drums. We are talking about preserving culture and celebrating play. So we have the talking drums here. My name is Lami Gidado and I have with me
Olorunfemi Johnson.
Okay.
Ebu.
And Ebu, what do you do?
I do a lot of things, but for the sake of this production, I am a multimedia person. I'm into entertainment, event hosting, and anything that relates to entertainment.
Yeah. So thank you for doing this video with me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I asked you to come and talk about the talking drums because I've seen you play it in church and in other settings.
Yeah.
So we just want to talk about the benefits of playing the talking drums, and even for children, whether they're just playing with it or learning how to play. So we're looking at the therapeutic benefits of this. But first, let's talk about the history of the talking drum. Okay. Where does it come from?
Wow, that's a big one. Thank you once again for having me. So talking about the talking drum, it dates back to the 18th century, the old Oyo Empire, and that's in the southwestern region of Nigeria.
So its origin is Nigeria?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And over time, evolution has made it possible for even the Western world to find interest in it. And particularly from the name, talking drum. A lot of people are curious, talking drum, does it mean the drum talks? And permit me to burst your bubble, the drum actually talks, that's why I call the talking drum.
Who does it talk to?
Just like I said earlier, it's dated back to the 18th century. The origin of the talking drum it's meant for royalties, particularly the king. Now, at that time, the talking drum was actually used to eulogize the king when he's coming out of his inner chamber into the royal courtroom.
Okay.
So they use the talking drum to call him out. So and there's a particular person that is allowed to play the talking drum. We call them Anyo in Yoruba. It's actually a family. They are mercenary to the king. They are the one allowed to play it. They are the one who make it, and they are the one who play the talking drum. Okay. So basically, when they play, there's somebody who interprets what the talking drum is saying.
How does the person know what the drum is saying?
I think from it finds its roots even in music. It will shock you to know that the talking drum actually they use tonic surfer. What in the music, this thing to play the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do and all that. And the Yoruba culture too has 3 basic tonic surfers, do, re, mi. So within the confines of those 3 surfer notes, they use the talking drum to talk. So if you permit me, I can even play something and I'll tell you what I just played.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm about to play now is played when the king travels and is coming back, or probably when maybe the princess travels and is coming back home.
Is that like an announcement to the people that the king is
around,
okay,
and is used to also welcome the king home?
Okay.
So it goes like this. So it means welcome. Hope your journey was fine and stress-free. We've been expecting you. So if anyone hears this, it means wherever you are, you know that the king is around. Okay. And the king too is a form of, oh, my people are welcoming me back home.
Okay. Is that still the culture, or has it changed?
Yes, it is still the culture till now.
Okay.
But not only used for kings alone again.
Because I mean, we see it played at parties.
Yes,
and
yes.
Yeah, so
even if your son or your husband travels out and after a long time is coming back home, and you call a talking drummer to come and play, this is the same thing they will play for him.
So the one that we see played at parties, is it saying something as well?
Yes, it is.
But then there's no interpreter.
You know, basically over time, ever since they started using the talking drum in the parties, it's not just talking again, it's talking with reading. So if you're not observant enough, you will not know that somebody is saying something that the talking drum is saying. So amidst the band, you still get somebody who is interpreting, but it will sound like the person is singing, but the person actually interpreting what the talking drum is saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. I'm still curious about how the person knows what the talking drum is saying. Like, do they just make up something and say this is what the talking drum is saying, or is it like they've learned some kind of skills, you know, that interprets?
Yes, it's
the
skills.
Rhythm, or
it's, you know, to even clear it, it is not the talking drum talking. It is you talking through the talking drum. So it's not like the talking drum has a storage of message, and no, it is you using your instinct, transmitting your message through the talking drum. So that's how, so it's basically, it works with the person who is playing, the instinct of the person. So I can say anything. It will shock you to know that even in the in the southwestern part of Nigeria, presently now, some people use it to insult each other without saying a word.
Oh, without saying a word.
Use the talking drum. So if I'm fighting with you now, and I know how to play the talking drum, I can use the talking drum to insult you. If you don't understand, it's your cup of tea.
That's interesting. So when and how did you learn how to play it?
I think growing up, I was actually born and bred in Jos, but my dad is more of a cultural person that didn't allow us to throw the culture away. So I think growing up, basically, we were using this talking drum as an instrument for morning devotion in the house.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
So everybody in my house had one instrument.
Thank God I wasn't a neighbor. In the mornings.
Yeah.
Okay. So who would play?
My dad used to play growing up.
Okay.
So we just picked it.
Okay.
Like that. So you learn as it's playing.
Okay. So you had it at home?
At home, yes.
So apart from morning devotion time, would you pick it up to play at other times?
Yes, we do.
Why? Was it like you're playing, or you're learning how to play the musical instrument, or whatever?
I think it's both in one. I was learning to play and I was playing. Because the more you pick the talking drum to play, the more concepts come into your head. In fact, at times we'll just be playing and some things will just drop into the mind and you just play it out. So with time you work on it. You don't just get to know it in a day, no. So it's like you're playing with it and you're also learning to play.
Do you think that there are skills that you learned from playing the talking drums?
Yes. One of the basic skill I learned from playing talking drum is it sharpened my listening skills.
Okay.
Because I didn't really have anybody to interpret what the talking drum was saying. So I was doing more of generating my own talk, my own message to the talking drum. I'll play it and make sure it sounds the way I said it.
Okay.
So with that, even when I play outside and anybody asks me, what did you just play? I'll tell you what I just played. Because it's my own message.
Right. So you said listening skills, but from what you just said, I'm hearing creativity.
Yes.
Because you have to also use your imagination and then create something from nothing.
Yeah.
So any other?
Another thing is the talking drum is an instrument that calls people, that attracts people.
Yeah.
It does attract. So I think growing up, one of the things I was using it for is to call, because I stayed in a compound the Nigerian will call face my face you compound.
Okay, so describe it.
So it's like like up to 5 families in the compound.
In the compound.
Same compound.
So the houses are
yes, it's in a square
facing each other.
Facing each other.
Okay.
So we have an open compound.
Right.
The house is built in a square form.
Yes.
So we have an open compound where everybody come to wash their clothes, do their dishes and all that.
In the middle of
the compound.
Okay.
So when we want to place the same place. So most times, even to save myself the stress of shouting, come outside, as soon as I pick the talking drum, I begin to hit the talking drum. Wherever you are in the compound, you know that it's time to play. So everybody comes.
So it can be used for announcements.
Yes.
It's time to play.
Yeah.
The king has arrived, or the king is...
Yes.
Yeah.
And there are still some other things. Maybe your son just graduated from school, and you want to tell the whole world that this is what's celebrating. There is a message for it too.
I also hear from what you have described that you also develop focus and concentration skills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It actually helped because as noisy as the talking drum can be, you need a quiet place to create messages for the talking drum.
I think apart from the quiet space, even in the midst of chaos or noise,
yes,
if you're able to play the talking drum in a noisy place, you still need focus and concentration.
True.
So I can also translate it into like the classroom, that you can sort of ward off distractions.
Exactly.
Right? To concentrate on what
you're doing.
What you are doing. I always say that skills are transferable to other things.
True. It helps in bringing everybody back to, just like you said, when there's distraction, as soon as you hit the talking drum, it helps to bring, especially in a situation where everyone understands the message you're trying to. And the funny thing now is that whether you understand the message or not, the sound of the talking drum has a way of, permit me to use the word, resetting the factory setting of whoever is listening to it at the moment, by bringing everybody back on track. So, okay, let's come together, let's do this together. And you just see that the focus is, regardless of the noisy atmosphere, or whether quiet or noisy, the talking drum has a way of bringing back.
Yeah. I was also checking, and I saw that it also helps to release the right hormones, the feel-good hormones into our bodies.
Yeah.
So we end up feeling happier, and it reduces stress as well.
Yes. Talking about that, as time goes on and as evolution was coming up to our contemporary age now, discovered that the talking drum was not just talking alone.
Yeah.
So with time, started adding rhythms to the message the talking drum is giving, such that even at events, I can tell you for a fact that I know people who would not dance until they hear the talking drum. Even when they don't understand what the talking drum is saying. As long as the talking drum is playing, they will dance. So it has been an instrument that over time has found relevance, even outside the original reason why it was created.
And I think you can also connect it to the player.
Yeah.
The person who is playing. That person has relevance and also will always be part of a team.
True.
Because, you know, the talking drum goes with different instruments. Like you can play it with other instruments, but you also talked about dancing. And that is something that is so typical of Africa.
Africans.
There's no celebration without
dancing.
And, you know, the talking drum is also a major part of it. I was at a wedding on Wednesday.
Wow.
And all they had was a talking drum. It was a Yoruba wedding, and so it was used to announce that the groom is coming in, the bride is coming in, and they all had different tunes. But I didn't know that they meant something like,
of course,
okay, this is for the bride and this is for the groom. But now that you're talking, and it's very interesting to watch the Yoruba
traditional.
Yes, and I love that tradition. There's passing on that tradition and it's still carrying on because no matter how where Yoruba people are, like in the Western world or in cities, anywhere, that tradition continues. So that talking drum is also part of.
In fact, of recent, I think the king of my village is called Somo of Ogbomoso. They had a congress of all Ogbomoso children in diaspora in Atlanta, Georgia. As soon as he was touching ground in the US, it was the talking drum they used to welcome him
in the US. Yeah. So no matter where they are, that tradition continues.
Yes. Yeah. So and funny enough, other cultures, even in Africa and in Nigeria particularly, kind of they've carved a niche for themselves with the talking drum. Like the Hausas call it kalangu.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, they call it kalangu.
Yeah, that's true.
It was actually drawn from the. But when you see the design of kalangu, it's actually different from this.
Yes,
but still
I was going to ask about that. I think there's something different about the kalangu.
The design for the kalangu is different from this. This fiber for the kalangu is more tinier, not as thick as this.
Okay.
And the skin for the kalangu is different from this. Is for the Yorubas, it has to be goat skin.
Goat skin.
It has to be goat skin. Okay. If not, it will not bring that sound.
Really?
Yes.
Everything about it is goat skin.
It has to be goat skin.
What about the?
This is goat skin. This is goat skin.
Interesting. Okay.
And I've actually forgotten the wood. I think it's mahogany.
Oh, really?
Yes, it has to be mahogany.
That's interesting.
Like I told you, there's a family in the Yoruba kingdom that has the peculiarity to carve this.
Yeah.
So wherever you see carving the talking drum now, who is not from that family probably was sent to that family to learn how to carve it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. I want to ask about, because I'm talking and I'm hoping that play therapists can also add
to it.
Yes, add things like this to the play therapy room.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of children with behavioral issues, because drums in general can help with anger issues.
Yes.
Just like boxing. So anger issues and other behavioral problems. So I want to ask if you can reflect on your childhood. Like, do you think that it helped you to maybe control emotions or just cool off if you were upset?
Yeah, it did. Growing up in a music-oriented family, my mom sings, my dad is more of an instrument person, basically percussion. When I say percussion, it has to do with anything drum. My dad plays the talking drum, he plays the conga drum, he plays the drum set. So my escape route growing up was basically instruments. Whenever I'm angry, whenever I'm depressed, whenever I am going paranoid or something is just bothering me, as soon as I get to any of the instruments, I cool off and I tend to forget whatever is disturbing me easily.
Yes.
And particularly for the talking drum, I can tell you that this talking drum is always in my car, anywhere I go to. I don't officially play it for money, but just to entertain myself. Sometimes I pick it up, I just play. And I have some other instruments, but this one is always in my car, anywhere I'm going to.
So it can help you to deal with pent-up emotions and to cool off because when you're upset.
It's a talking drum, so I can talk to it. I can talk to the drum and hit it, and the drum will push the message out for me.
Just like the way children use imaginative play to deal with their emotions. They're talking to themselves, but it's therapeutic.
There are times where you don't really have somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
But it's just something when you pick, you can pour your mind.
Right.
So the talking drum is an instrument you can pour your mind on.
Yes. Yes.
and it cools you off.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm guessing that when you're playing it, you're not even thinking of issues and...
Because the way you connect to the talking drum is by talking to it.
Yeah.
So if you don't converse with the talking drum, you're not playing anything. You're just hitting it. And it's just like hitting a child unjustly. So when you're not connected with the talking drum and you're hitting it, it's just like you're hitting a child unjustly. So you need to connect with the talking drum.
So the talking drum can be your therapist?
Yes, very well.
Okay.
Very well.
I know that drums also help with impulse control. So children with like hyperactivity issues and just not able to control their impulse, you know, it can help to, you know, just regulate and bring them back on track. Back on track.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, on that note, I would like to make reference to, you know, you made mention of something earlier that whoever is playing the talking drum actually would belong to a group.
Yeah.
Now, let me make reference to that group thing. You know, in a band setting, when a talking drummer, at times you can get so excited and overwhelmed that the talking drummer just wants to play what is coming to his mind. But there's always somebody on check who would get, especially in a case where we have maybe like 2 or 3 talking drummers. And those 2 talking drummers are expected to play the same thing. And one is excited. He just wants to, something just dropped on his mind and he wants to just play it. This other one will just keep him on check by playing the first phrase of whatever message they want to. So you just play the first phrase, it comes back.
That's like what we call co-regulation in play therapy.
Yeah, it just brings you back.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're stable. Because most times if you allow some people, they will overshoot the distance. So it regulates. In fact, the talking drum is a wonderful instrument. And I believe strongly that beyond what it was meant for, play therapy is one of the salient reasons the creator did not see actually, but as time goes on, it found its way, and as a result of this production, I know it would send the message out that this is something that...
Yeah, for me, I would like to encourage play therapists to have it in their play therapy room. I remember when I started play therapy, and my supervisor would say that I must have drums in my play therapy room. I had 2 problems. Where do I get drums from? And then secondly, I don't have the space, you know, for drums. But I can have the talking drum in my play therapy room, and they're available around here.
Yeah, they are.
So they will fit in perfectly.
Of course. You might not necessarily have to go for the professional talking drum because you don't get the professional talking drum anywhere.
Is this a professional one?
Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
We got it all the way from Oyo State.
Oh, okay.
But for the sake of play therapy, you can have any, as long as it looks like talking drum.
As long as it's a drum.
Have it.
Yes, and they can create their story with it.
Yes.
In fact, as I'm talking, I'm thinking of creative ways to use it, because like you said, the talking drum is passing on a message.
Exactly.
So I can provide like writing materials and other things for children. So create your story with the talking drum.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's powerful. It's very nice, and you know, anything that connects with the human soul is deep.
Yes.
It's deep. And as far as play is concerned, it's soulful.
Oh, for sure.
Play is soulful. And whatever you can use to play, it's good that you maximize it and just use it to the fullest. And that is how you get the best of that thing.
Yeah.
I think for now, my baby is to love the talking drum very well. You know, just because I got it so expensive, so at times I used to restrict them from how they hit it. So you understand that there's a way you touch it. You don't just touch it anyhow. You know, I kept saying if you hit the talking drum without connecting with it, you're hitting the talking drum unjust. It's unfair.
Right. So it means that it can also teach you self-care.
Yes.
Because if you learn how to take care of something else, then it can be transferred to
very well,
caring for yourself as well.
Very well.
Okay.
Very well.
It's been interesting talking with you about the talking drum.
Same here. And I am so happy that I have to talk about this.
Okay.
I'm so excited that I was called to talk about this because it's something I've connected with so much.
Yeah.
Coming from the music background and how it has helped me growing up. You know, I told you even before this production that one thing I didn't miss is my childhood.
Yeah.
I played with everything I could lay my hands on.
Yeah.
And it will shock you to know that even as African children, we have learned to improvise.
Oh, yeah.
That some of us growing up, we even, because we couldn't get this and we couldn't get our parents to buy the talking drum for us, we improvised by using some, maybe tins or we carve out talking drum for ourselves.
Oh, that's true. So that's something we can start with. Just use the tin and some very strong bag or something.
Exactly, and rope. But you can set this up in a class and just give them, provide those materials for them and just create something that looks like the talking drum.
Sounds good. So even in the classrooms, the teachers can use it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Ebo.
Thank you, Mrs. G, for having me.
Yeah. So that's the talking drums. You can add it to your play therapy room and use it anyhow you want. In child-centered play therapy, the child leads, so they can play it as they want. So thank you for joining us.
All right. Bye, guys.